both so much. So, where's Tyree? I just saw him. Oh, there he is. Tyree, do you want to join me? I feel like it's easier for me to talk with you if you're up here. Huh? Come over. Come on. Give it up for Tyree, guys. Pretty good. You all hear me? Thank you. Great. I'm gonna hold on to this. Like, can y'all hear me if I'm like this? Does this work? Okay, great. Good evening, Mr. Knight. How you doing?
What's that? Thanks, Charles. Where's he at? What's Brent? There's a gentleman here who made these shoes for me, just for tonight. You like it? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Good?
Good.
Right. So, my name is Jova, and I had the incredible opportunity to curate both 2 + 2 = 8 in process. And I just, before we get started, wanted to say thank you to Tyree and Janine, especially for trusting me with such a wonderful, amazing project. It has been a beautiful journey, and I could not be more humbled or grateful, so thank you.
Thank you.
So to sort of get us into thinking about your work and this conference, I'll share a little story. So I met Tyree in 2010. I was here for a conference, and I was living in the Bay Area, California. And I had brought a bunch of youth to this media-based conference in Detroit. And we came over to Heidelberg site, and I was at the House of Soul, which is one of the former house installations. There's an excerpt from it in process if you go into the gallery next door. And I was standing in front of there, and I had been walking around, and I noticed this thing, 2 + 2 = 8. And as usual, you were there. And I was like, what is 2 + 2 = 8? And at first, I don't think you were trying to talk to me. You were just like, I'm just here, I'm trying to do my thing. But then we got into it, and you were like, if anything,
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. You were just you're making work at Heidelberg. I was just kind of there being like, what's up? You know the way. I'm just a little bit like, hey.
Was I nice?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a bad thing. I'm just saying. You were working, and I was interrupting. And so just this idea of, you were talking about this idea of making something out of nothing. And I was so fascinated by this because it seemed so obvious, and yet I still couldn't figure out the answer myself at first. And I thought that was really interesting. So when Alicia asked me to work on the show, and we all ended up working together, just learning more about 2 + 2 = 8 as a philosophy has been a tremendous experience. And so to sort of get us started, I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what you're really trying to say when you say 2 + 2 = 8, which again is the foundation of this exhibition that we're standing in right now.
Well, I'm not trying to say it, I'm saying it.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, 2 + 2 is what you're looking at. This is all part of it. So I've been on this incredible journey for the last 32 years. And what I have come to understand that it's important for you, for myself, to create my own reality in life as I travel through life and in space. That's what I have done. So I'm not trying to do it. I mean, I can do it now with my eyes closed.
That's what you are doing.
Yes.
And do you feel like if you were to talk to me, let's say we didn't know each other, we as an audience don't really know you, if there was something that was fundamental to knowing you as Tyree Guyton, what would it be?
I would say that I am a child of God, Yahweh, here in this creation to do what I have done. I believe that.
Yeah.
I'm here to create art. I love me. And that's important.
One thing that I feel like I've learned a lot from both you and Janine is this idea or the reality of having to advocate for yourself, like having to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, just how you're like, I'm not trying to do this, I am doing this. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of your practice and some of the challenges that have sort of shaped that, this sort of rebellion against the status quo, the like, I need you to do this, no, like how do you stand in your conviction? What are some of the moments or lessons that you've learned in sort of shaping that side of you? 'Cause that to me is a really big piece of who you are as well. It's like being open and generous and giving, but also very firm, and this is what's going to be. This is what I am doing. This is how I'm living my life.
I'm really glad we're sitting here having this conversation, because I'm looking back there and I'm looking on the wall back there and it says, you. You have to learn to be you. You have to live for you, you have to die for you, you have to eat for you, and you have to take care of you.
But are there specific moments that got you to that you place?
Yes. Time, those clocks, time. All in time.
Say more about that.
Well, in this life, you're traveling through time and space, and life has a way of beating you up to get you ready for the next level. All things in time. And time has a way of taking you from here and putting you up here.
And can you say more about this idea of time and sort of how you got into this? Because clocks can be found everywhere at Heidelberg. So can you say a little bit more?
I don't have enough clocks. Do you have any?
Not enough. But say more about how you got into time. What time
I heard it. I heard it. I said earlier, I hear it. What do you mean, Tyreek? Well, in here, I hear something so beautiful that it makes me create. It's deep. And it's happening all in time.
Yeah. So something that has been fundamental to shaping your practice, as I've learned it, is spirituality, right? We have the spiritual elements in terms of church, but also philosophical elements. And I'm wondering about how you came to that place of being, if you could tell us a little bit more about your childhood, specifically thinking about your family, Sam, Betty Jean, all grandmas, just sort of like Grandpa, how did that sort of shape you in terms of that being the foundation of your artistic practice?
Well, as a kid, I knew I wanted to be an artist. My family had a problem with it. And so I was labeled as different and strange. People didn't want to play with me. So I was different. I was always creating. I hated school. And there was also a time in my life I wanted to be white. Hallelujah.
Can you say more about that?
Well, I grew up in the 60s, and I was exposed to religion at an early age, and there was this white Jesus. I was so damn confused about life and reality. All of that played a part in the person I have become today. Once again, those clocks traveling through time and space, and then becoming you. But it takes time.
So these depictions of God as sort of this white, male, blonde hair, blue-eyed figure, can you talk, I feel like that's an opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about your relationship to community, specifically within the Faces in the Hood and Faces of God series. Can you share a little bit more about sort of where that sort of came from?
It came to me one day that it was important for me to do some soul searching and to start asking a lot of questions about life, reality. And I hated church. Oh my goodness, man, all day long. People jumping around. What the hell is this here? And then there's this white Jesus all over the place. And at the same time, I'm talking about the 60s, so the 60s was a very interesting time.
Yeah.
It was the whole movement. It was the Vietnam War. And Dr. Smith talked about that earlier today.
So,
Pop art too at that time. Yeah.
so do you feel like pop art's an influence in your practice?
Absolutely. Andy Warhol,
Okay.
Basquiat, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more specifically, though? Again, like I feel like Faces of God and Faces in the Hood are two key signature series in your body of work.
Well, who is God? What is God? Is he up there? I mean, where is God? So I've been on this quest, you know, to know for myself. I mean, I don't want to go by what someone else, that's their opinion. But it's important for you to know for yourself. It's important to know you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Socrates. He said, just keep asking questions, just keep asking questions.
And so in terms of you questioning everything, because I think that's a real big part of your practice, in process we highlight the fact that you were trained as a fine artist, right? You have this, you were really into landscapes and portraits, and I'm curious about that transition, and you told me a story the other day, and I wonder if you're willing to share it with the audience now.
A story about Charles McGee.
Yeah, can you share that story?
I told a group earlier that story of Charles McGee. I studied with Charles McGee for 3.5 years, and I took my portfolio over for Charles to critique it, to look at it. And he took a painting out and put it on the easel, and he began to paint on top of it. And I said, shit, how's Charles doing? But he said that he had to undo what that institution in College of Creative Studies, but he said, white folks, he said, I gotta undo that. And he said to me, he said, you need to listen to some John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk, and you need to go in here, you need to go deep, real deep. And it's kind of like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Changed my life.
So it sounds like a bit of a theme in the work is really about this idea of decolonizing Eurocentricity within the arts and really sticking true to sort of mystifying what institutions say you need to do and you need to be. Like who that, like the idea of the black artist as being somebody, and we, Janine, Tyree, myself, and Dr. Smith were in New Orleans together, and we had this amazing conversation about this notion of what it means to be a black artist and sort of how we always know, like, you know you're a black artist, right? But sort of the challenges in being automatically put in a certain kind of context within the larger art world. And I'm wondering what for you it means to actively resist that.
I said something earlier today. Let's see if I can find it. Yes. It's coming from Frederick Douglass. Without a struggle, there can be no progress. You gotta go through something in order to tap into your true greatness. You gotta go through something. You gotta learn how to fight. And you have to fight with your mind. Nobody has the power to make you feel small or nobody has that power. A lot of times we give up our power. Fear. It stops us from becoming a butterfly, and it stops us. I believe that if you make your mind up and if you tell yourself something over and over and over, what do you think is going to happen? When I came, I'm going to use this exhibition as a metaphor. When I came into this space, I said, damn! How are you going to create this? But it became a challenge. Went home, I was talking to my wife, hi honey. She said, you can do this. So you gotta go through something. Gotta go through something. There's a friend of mine's over at Tom Porter, and him and I was talking earlier. And Tom, I remember those days when I was so afraid. I was also afraid of success. I was afraid of Tyree Guyton, growing up on the east side in Delta. But I decided to do something different.
I mean, it's so interesting that we're sitting here and in full disclosure, Tyree did not show me any sketches of the conspiracy before it went up, and I think that this is actually a key piece in this exhibition because it really, like, we're talking about the challenges and successes, and Heidelberg truly, and you and Janine have been through so much, and I think the fires are really one of those moments in the timeline of Heidelberg and your practice where, like, that was a huge, just like challenge after challenge after challenge, and I'm wondering, for you, how did that inform the work you're making now? But also, what are the things that you all did to enable Heidelberg to thrive and to grow following all of the arson, specifically as like unsolved cases?
That lady there, raise your hand there. You, Janine. Is there someone else? I saw you looking that way. Wait a minute. Janine, my wife, my friend. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had some moments, and the fires, the demolitions. I surrounded myself with good people. That guy right there had been around for 30 years, almost, Tom Porter. And there's another guy back there. See the guy back there, that funny hat on back there? Hey, Roy. What's happening? That guy said, I'm gonna make you look good. Friends. Believing in yourself. So I want to go back to what I said earlier. You got to go through something.
Yeah.
And every time I was going through something, and the times I wanted to run away. Oh, that's been moments, guys. I want you to know too. It's been moments. I went out to Belle Isle and I cried like a girl. I mean, I cried. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. And it's been those moments. I didn't want to talk to people because I think there comes a time you have to get away from all of it so you can think, so you can hear yourself. You're going to come over there, you're going to burn down the Heidelberg project. And every time I wanted to walk away from it, I said, I'm tired of this shit. Something inside of me said, make it greater. And that little still voice was so damn powerful. And now I say to the world, bring it on. I mean, I didn't do it. Maybe the city set the houses on fire. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It'd be somewhere, I don't know. Yeah. But I want to talk about it. I want to put it out there. So I'm talking about my life. My life. Grandpa Maggie. Talking about slavery, and so that's why that tree is there. We started off creating this tree on Heidelberg Street. Thought it'd be great to bring it here and put it in this institution to talk about the past, talk about the present, and to talk about the future.
So there's so much there, and then I'm wondering if you could take. I have two questions. One is about Sam, but before we go into your relationship with him, I'm wondering if you could talk about the role of these notebooks. You're always with a notebook. You have sketches. If you get the process catalog, it is filled with like hundreds of studies. And so Tyree, everywhere you go, you have this sketchbook, this journal, this like something to doodle in, napkins, finding anything. Can you talk a little bit more about, so you just said, like, you know, sometimes you need to be around people, but sometimes you also need to get away. The role of these studies in terms of your practice.
Started with that guy, Tom Porter. he would buy notebooks for us, books to read, that kind. I don't know if you remember this, Tom, but he also said it was important to make notes. So I saw the importance of that. Date it. You can go back to it. Information.
And what do you do with all of them?
Oh, I just keep, I don't know. I wait for people like you to come. And then all of a sudden you say to me, let's do a show, and then we create a show. Once again, everything in time.
Well, I think a part of the importance of it is this sort of documentation of your process, because I think sometimes with this idea of public works or outsider art, whatever that means, folks, there's this notion that it just falls from the sky and just like exists. Like, oh, I saw this random thing today and I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna make some work. And I think the sort of documentation of the intense way you write down and sketch out every single thing feels like that's where I see that traditional sort of training within you. Like this, like it's very deliberate. It's not just random. And I often wonder if people really realize or understand that. And so, and at the same time, I think there's a certain vulnerability in sharing these studies, right? This is something that you created not necessarily for the public to see and engage with, but is such a fixture in your practice. And so I'm wondering how you feel about that.
Well, this is personal. And at the right time, if I choose, I will do an exhibition, but it's personal. It's something that I'm doing for myself. So, you know, making notes and doing drawings all the time for me.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm sitting there studying, and honey, thank you so much. I was so glad you said to me earlier it was important for me to have a man cave so I can go in there and draw. So thank you, dear. Yeah. But I'm in my man cave, and I'm drawing and I'm writing. At the same time, I'm pushing it to see how far I can go. When it comes to the imagination, when it comes to creativity, how far can we go? So I'm pushing it, I'm playing with it, I'm pushing it. It's just like with these pieces. You know, what the hell is art? Well, for me, it's this. And I got in trouble a long time ago. Janine and I, speaking at this university, and I said to a group of scholars, I said, what is art today? And they beat me up bad. But I had to go back and I had to think about it. So today I'm saying, what is art today for Tyree Guyton? This. You know, art is so beautiful. Life is stranger than fiction, and art is everything. I'll tell you guys a real funny story. I was preparing this taxi to come here, and one of my neighbors, and I've been having some issues, some problems with this neighbor, and they came over at night now. They came at night. And saw the need to throw some bricks through the window. And at first I was upset. And then that voice said to me, that's art. And I said, damn. I'm gonna keep those bricks in there, and just like that. So what I want to say to my neighbors today, thank you. Hallelujah.
So the community, the neighborhood, Heidelberg Street,
Yes.
Sam Mackey are
Yes.
really, really just a part of your process, a part of you.
Absolutely.
Super personal. Can you talk about Sam for a little bit? I mean, we highlight your and his relationship
Yes.
process, but just tell us a little bit more about Grandpa.
Oh, Grandpa, he's here tonight. Hallelujah. Grandpa's back. It was because of Grandpa who gave me a paintbrush at the age of 9, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it, but that was incredible. That moment, it was like sex. Very magical. So it's because of him. And then at the age of 88, Grandpa Mackey started drawing himself. Where's this guy? You see these two guys here, Charles and Susan. So they would buy grandpa drawing markers and art supplies. So they was feeding him to create. So at one time, my family thought Grandpa was on drugs because he wouldn't stop drawing, and they blamed it on me. But he was having a great time. So yeah.
And then sort of thinking about, again, the family and the foundation, you know, when we were working on this show together, we went to New Orleans and I was there with my family.
Yes.
And it just became very much a family affair. And so this very personal practice that you have, which I think people sometimes don't realize because public work somehow gets stifled into not being personal, though it truly is. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about Big Mama and your mama and the women in your life, and how they sort of laid, you know, stand as a foundation, thinking about how that groundwork of womanhood and femininity sort of exists. Because I mean, we look at these American pieces from the American flag series, there's also a very feminine flair to that work, the shoes, etc. It's all there beyond Big Mama, but can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, yeah. But before I talk about Big Mama, I'm going to talk about those flags. Yeah, I spent some time in the United States Army, and there's Dr. Charles Smith back there, who United States Marines. And I came back here. I took an oath to fight for this country. You know, you take an oath, Dr. Smith, and you go and you fight for the country. And then I came back and I found myself fighting here at home. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the justice system. I'm talking about the legal system. I'm talking about right and wrong. Yeah. I don't know how in the hell we're going to go someplace else and fight and a war. And then right here. I would also say that as far as the President of the United States, we the people, it's all about the people. So I would say to you folks tonight, go on out there and do what you need to do. Hell with all that stuff he's talking. Do your thing. Amen. My mother.
Yes. Whose
She was
shoes are in
incredible.
this piece as well, right?
What's that?
She's in the white tree too?
Yeah, her shoes are up there. There was 10 of us. And my mom was just incredible. And in our home, she had a library. And every Sunday, we was made to go to church. And they would cut my hair, you know, every Saturday they would cut my hair and I would shine my shoes and I would wear a little bow tie. But it was important that we go to church on Sunday because my grandparents, my mom, and felt that it would give us a foundation. But once again, I want to go back to, you know, I had a problem with that white Jesus in the church. You know, really, you know, looking at him, he was looking at me, and so I had a problem with that. But all of that has played a part in the person that I am today. Yeah. I'm glad I can sit here and talk about it. Big Mama is incredible. She was also my dad, and she was a friend, and there was 10 of us, and that was one time we didn't have lights, and so we had candles in our home. And she would go to the secondhand store, and she would shop for her kids.
So taking on both this feminine...
She also taught us how to cook, you know. There was eight sons and there was 2 girls, and so my mom said, you know, your wife might put you out, and so you need to know how to cook.
And so your mother be taking on this feminine matriarchal role, but also the role of the father in many ways. And Big Mama, the gestures and the imagery that we see is of a non-gender specific sort of character, though it's Big Mama.
Yeah, are you talking about that penis I gave her? Yeah. What is guys laughing about that?
Yeah, that's what it is. Can you say more about your decision to play with her gendered roles in that way? Because I think there's something about the way you make portraits that's very abstracted, and I'm sort of wondering if you can speak a little bit more about that.
Yes, that's my mom, but also that's me. And that's the way you see that penis somewhat. Even though my mom is not here anymore, but she's in me.
Yeah.
So that's me and my mom
Together.
together.
And so thinking.
She could fight too. Yeah, she could fight, yeah.
Are we a little scrappy?
Say that again.
Scrappy?
What do you mean?
Like scrappy mama, she can fight.
Oh, she could, yeah, she could fight. Yeah, she could fight. Well, she had 10, she had 8 sons, so she had to learn how to fight.
Yeah. So thinking about these women in your life, mom, grandma,
Yes.
great-grandma, auntie.
Oh, great grandma.
Yeah.
Kate Reese, my great grandmother. She was incredible.
Dottie Waddy House.
The Dottie White House. Yeah, she was also the mother of the church. But it's my great grandmother that said to me, this particular Sunday, I was a kid, she said that God told her to tell me that I was going to do something incredible. I can still hear her voice telling me that.
For like prophetic.
Yes.
And so thinking about the roles that women have in your life and the transition that Heidelberg is going through with Janine being CEO and handing over, or being in that leadership role that she has always been in, but in a different way. Can you talk more about the transition that's happening and what it means for you to continue to be collaborating but also letting go at the same time?
Oh, letting go is really incredible, to let go. And I'm excited. And after 32 years, I think it's time for me to let go. I also said earlier today that in my second life, I'm going to come back as Janine.
That'd be amazing.
So I have the utmost confidence in Janine. I believe it's a great time in the world for women. And in this case, women of color. Janine has proven herself over the years. She has all the right tools to take this project to the next level, which is Heidelberg 3.0. So I'm going to take it apart in a very artistic way, in a very methodical way. I'm going to do something that's never been done before. Once again, what is art today? Well, I'm going to prove to myself that art can be any and everything. So I'm going to take it apart to prove that can be art also for Tyree Guyton. So she's going to take it over, and I'm going to give her this canvas for her to play with. The foundation has been laid, and the possibilities are endless. And her team, and we got a great team of folks.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think they see the vision. So I'm going to give her all the space and the tools to help her to take it where it needs to go. And you heard what I said, where the project needs to go, because the project is going to take her on the journey.
Absolutely. The project I see, the other day I was writing these wall labels for process, and I was feeling a little defeated for a second just because it's been a long week, I was tired, and I was like, let me just go to Heidelberg and see if Tyree's around. And dropped in, and you took me into your office.
You like my office?
I love that office.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Really great, really great.
Yeah.
It's what that means is just 2 chairs by
A beautiful garden. A butterfly garden.
And I was feeling so defeated that day, and I came to Heidelberg, and we had a really good conversation, and that day I said, being at Heidelberg is almost like it's like a spiritual experience. It's like a worship. It's like it's a sacred land, and I'm wondering for you as the creator of this beautiful, transformative space, what it means to have built that, first of all, and then also what it means for you to think about your solo practice within that context, because Heidelberg is something that you've given all of us in this very particular way. That's different than a formal painting, right? Like I can't sit inside a formal painting, but I can sit inside Heidelberg as a work of art. And so I'm wondering what that means for you.
Say it again.
Okay.
I want to make sure I understand it. Say it again.
So Heidelberg as a sanctuary, right? We
Yes.
talked during that conversation, we talked a lot about church and sanctuary and this idea of going to a place to worship, which like, to me, Heidelberg as an installation, just in its totality, is a sacred space, right? And it's something that you've created with the hard work of people like Janine, the team at Heidelberg, community members, neighbors, etc., right? And it's something that you have given to us, me as a viewer or an observer or a participant, that's very sacred, right? And it operates differently than your formal work in the sense that I can sit at Heidelberg Project and become a part of the art in a way that I can't when I just look at a painting. And so I'm wondering for you, because that work sort of falls into solo practice but also social practice, what it means, how do you define your different practices? Does that make more sense?
That's got my wheels turning. I would say that the Heidelberg Project, it's a very special place. It's in here. And I have taken the project, and I've created another theory that I'm playing with. It's called elevator concept. You know, taking an elevator to the 30th floor of a building. I've done that. So now it's time to come down. And I'm loving it. I'm loving what the product has been for myself and what it has been for you and you and you. And now it's time to see another side of this equation that I've created, which is the Heidelberg Project. And I'm having a great time taking it apart. It's kind of like me dying and coming back in my next life as Janine. So I get a chance to see it from both sides. And it gives me a chance to talk about it from both extremes. I created it, and now I'm going to take it apart. And then I'm going to place it in places like this here, because I wanted to prove to the world, because the world said to me, you can't take it away, and it's not going to look right in the museum. I said, how the hell do you know? So I can say to you that it looks pretty damn good in here. So I'm going to take it apart so I can travel the world, and I can do art shows all over the world, and Janine, they can stay here and have a good time. So it's going to give me a chance to see that side of it too. You know, the possibilities are just endless. And I'm excited. You know, the great philosopher Socrates said this. He said, if you're afraid of dying, you're not living. And every day we're dying out to the old man to become the new person in tomorrow, reality. And that's what I want to see with the Heidelberg Project. So I'm excited. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to get lost. And she says it to me all the time, my wife. She said, I like to get lost on purpose to find my way back. That's what I'm doing with this.
I think we're running out of time, but just to add one thing to that, if you all look at the text, you should. There's a work, image, a depiction of Jesus, and is that his 12th?
It's titled The White Jesus.
The White Jesus.
That he's taking a taxi ride over to the east side of Detroit.
And just that, because I was with Tyree when we found that work. We were together. A friend of ours has this church, and we went in there just to look around, and we had been talking about this white Jesus and looking at church pews and different depictions of God. And I remember that day when you found that painting, you were like, God damn, this is it. And just that,
I knew it.
That intuition that you have that's so deep and so rich and has really, really transformed this city as a whole. And I know you know that, but I do want to say thank you, because I think that's important.
I want to thank you. And let me say this. This beautiful young lady came, and I can safely say to you tonight, this has been a great relationship. You, when I came in there and I saw that show and I saw my grandfather's works hanging on the wall, my heart was doing that. I said, oh, damn, help me, God. It was so beautiful. You have done a great job. And would you guys do me a big favor? Would you give her a hand clap with me? Hallelujah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Do we have enough time for a couple questions? Yeah, okay, great. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is an appropriate question, but is it okay to ask what's the painting collage is so beautiful on so many levels, and I'm wondering what's in the mailbox?
That's the light bill.
Go ahead.
Any more questions?
Yeah, we have one
What's
over.
the liberated Jesus look like?
So the question was, what does the liberated Jesus look like?
He's 2 + 2 = 8. He's now, and he's tomorrow, and he's everything. And it's only one race. That's the human race. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Questions for Tyree?
Oh, life is so beautiful, guys. And I would say to you that I'm liberated.
Yes.
I'm free. I'm free. And I'm not afraid to die. Not anymore, because I believe there is something greater. And I look forward to seeing it one day.
Is there?
That's
you
a
have
question?
You can say. He's coming up.
Somebody over here had a question. They playing with me now. Who had a question over here? Nobody?
Hey guys, what I want to say is I've been working on the product for the last 32 years, and I'm still 26.
So as we close things out, just thank
you.
you again. And Janine, y'all are amazing, and the whole Heidelberg team, really amazing people. I also want everybody to please check out this book. Instead of doing a traditional catalog, we decided to go through Tyree's archive of studies. So within this book are original studies from works that maybe you've seen in real life, some things from Tyree's imagination that have yet to become formal pieces, etc. And so this book, we were in Heidelberg offices for way too long, going through all these images, and they're really incredible, and each book has a brushstroke that was done by hand on it. So please check it out. Tyree's going to be signing them. And
Who's paying me to sign these books?
they told me you're signing it.
Who told you that? Yeah, go ahead, Janine.
I just want to make one quick announcement. I just want to invite, first of all, everybody here to the breakfast tomorrow at Shed 5 in Eastern Market. Even if you didn't pay, it's all over now. So just show up. I think it'll be great. But more importantly, we're going to give away or auction off an original work by Tyree. So I know that will probably be incentive. So I'd like to encourage everybody to please join us at Shed 5 at 9:30 for a beautiful brunch and the last part of our conference. Thank you so much.